morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for our all-in panel here at Remax 5-Star Realty. Today, I have our agents, and a couple of them they switched industries and went full on into real estate from an industry that was completely different. And I have two more agents that they had a full-time job and they had the goal of becoming full-time in real estate and crushed it. I'm going to do a couple of introductions today. And first, who's not joined us yet, she's in an airport right now, but Vanessa Esna-Muir, she's been an agent with me for a while, and she was a teacher, and now she is a full-time real estate agent and crushing it. Here next to me, I have Abigail Solis, Theodore Brutus Foster, and Dodie Gobor. Good morning, you guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, are you guys ready to share some tips and tricks and pains and all the things that you've gone through and getting to where you are? All right, so my first question for our panel today is why real estate and what made you get into real estate? Dodie?
So I have flipped a house before and thought about doing real estate then, but I spent 20 years in the petrochemical industry and I just loved my job. And then not because of COVID, but because we had a fatality in our facility and ultimately our company went bankrupt during COVID times. I thought, well, this is the perfect opportunity for me to just take a different direction in my career.
All right, and so, but why real estate? So I understand why you decided to switch, from that and go into real estate. But was there anything that piqued your interest in real estate?
Well, I started out when my friend was probing me that she thought I would do good in this industry. I have 2 rentals also, and so it was just a decision. I decided to be more flexible with my kids and my school and just take a different path in my life.
So you have a little bit of a background with flipping a house and having a couple of rental houses, and you like that, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Abby, what about you?
So at the time, I had a conversation with my boyfriend who needed help with his growing business. So we were kind of discussing some options for me. So before I continue, I was a teacher for about 6 years. So it was, a steady job and everything was going great. But like I said, my boyfriend and I had a discussion that he needed help with his growing business. And he actually let me know that he thought that I would be a perfect fit for real estate just based on my characteristic qualities, things like that. And I gave a little bit more thought and I was like, you know what? I do love helping people and I am a people person. So it just kind of all came together and I never looked back. I love it.
All right, Theo, what about you? Why real estate?
Well, so I actually had a cousin who was in real estate in San Antonio. So we've been talking about it for years. I kind of always was interested in it, and he really saw me, always work hard, always work multiple jobs. And he was like, man, like it'd be nice if you have more time on your hands to do other things. And so missing out on family vacations or being able to hang out with friends because I always have to work. So I wanted something a little bit more flexible. And so it really started with him doing real estate, and then actually tried pursuing it in 2017, but it took me 3 years to, jump into it. So I actually jumped in because of COVID. So it actually, unfortunately, we went through that, but it ended up being a blessing because it gave me time to, actually dive in and be successful. So.
All right. So Vanessa, she is not on with us yet, but for her, she said that whenever they bought their own home, after a year of moving to Houston, the realtor that was helping asked what she was going to do, and she said that she really didn't know. And he said that they thought that she would be great at real estate because she spoke 2 languages and had good communication skills, and that her husband James always said that she'd be a great realtor because she is also a people person. Now, as we move into, the reason why we're having this panel, if you are in real estate, if you just started, real estate, you know that this is a different, market if you've been in the business for some time. But a lot of our newer agents, y'all have never seen a market like this. and you're still making strides, whether you switched an industry completely like Abigail or Dodie, or switched from having that full-time secure job like you and Vanessa, and you're still dominating your space now by the things that you are doing. So it's really to encourage you guys out there that are maybe having these same pain points and wondering, okay, is this for me? Should I get another job, or should I choose another profession? And really just sharing your experience with them to hopefully give them some inspiration and motivation, no matter where their path leads. So the next question is, what was your greatest challenge and how did you overcome it? Abigail.
I think starting off fresh from the start, like whenever you learn the material that you need in order to get licensed as a real estate agent, that's very different from actually being on the field. So I think the part that I struggled with the most at the beginning is basically knowing kind of basically what is the first step I need to take. So I have like all of this knowledge, but it's like putting it into place. That was the hard part. But once I started, how did I overcome it? Once I started going to trainings, talking to people, not being afraid to like get my face out there, that's when everything started kind of trickling and kind of helping me overcome that fear of, oh my God, I'm going to mess up. I'm not saying the right thing, or what do I do next?
All right. So one of your greatest challenges was just putting the systems in place and the confidence that you needed with, all that education that you have and how to make it work for you. What about you, Theo? What's your greatest challenge and how did you overcome it?
So, as I said before, I got into real estate March of 2020, so right when COVID happened. So I think that was one of my greatest challenges was just myself, second guessing, wondering, if I got in the right industry at the right time. So really, and then also, those first couple months, you're really just getting your feet wet and trying to brand yourself. And, sometimes you don't see the work that you put in, being displayed, or you're not getting the results that you want. So that was definitely hard for me. But, just with being consistent and keep, trying and reaching out to people, it ended up working out. So I'm glad that I stayed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that you brought that up because, there's some people getting into real estate, they don't realize that, whenever you're leaving a job where you have a steady paycheck, in real estate, it takes planting a lot of seeds before you're starting to, be able to reap the benefits of, those seeds that you planted. And, the things that you do today affect, next month. It's not like, you do something today, you get paid next week. Typically it takes, a month or two before you get, your earnings on your hard work and start seeing, those things. Dodie, what about you? Greatest challenge and how did you overcome it?
For me, my greatest challenge was trying to, like Abigail said, figure out where to start. When I started here at RE/MAX 5-star, y'all offered a class, the Buffini class, which led me into creating my database, my CRM, giving me a better understanding of writing letters and calling friends and family, just starting out with them, and then building my platform as far as my business, my Facebook page, my Instagram, and just giving content to the public, even if it is just friends and family, because hoping that they would take that information. If they know someone that wants to buy or sell, they see my name, my face, and they refer somebody to me.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that as well, because I think that a lot of agents feel that pain whenever they get into the business is, what do I do? How do I start? How do I even, get clients? And you have to have those systems in place, which is one of the reasons why we coach so heavily around Buffini. So it's kind of giving you, the dialogue and talking about setting up your database and how to cultivate relationships and be relationship, based. And for Vanessa, she said that her greatest challenge was, the language barrier. Like she speaks, 2 languages, but Spanish is her first language. And that she didn't know anything about how the transactions happened in the USA, but, she was familiar with it from living in Mexico. But in Mexico, you don't need a license to practice real estate. And so she didn't know a lot about how the real estate transactions happened here in the US. and that the way that she overcame it was by studying harder and being more focused in her classes. And for the things that she didn't understand, having her husband explain it to her in Spanish, in her first language, so she could be able to communicate it, in English to her clients. So one of the next questions that I have for you guys is an important one. And I think it's, again, the reason why we wanted to have this class today is it's scary going from one, career to another and not knowing what's happening or what's going to happen. Going from having a steady paycheck to, I don't know when or where it's going to come from. What particularly was your pain points that you felt during the transition, and how did you overcome it? Dodie, I'm going to start with you.
So for me, I fortunately have 2 incomes in my house, and so I recommend to any agent that maybe wants to take, a person that wants to take that leap, they need to know that they need to have financial savings for those months to come until you get that first transaction. And then with my first transaction, I basically put most of it in savings, and that way I could fall back on it to help, with the bills for the next couple of months. And I still do that today. I keep so much of it in savings, and if I go a month without a transaction, then I can pull from that for myself as a paycheck. It's also, in the very beginning, you have so many bills. You have your dues, your hard invoices, your signs, your business cards. It's just a large expense, and so it was just scary in the very beginning.
Right. Abby, what about you? What are your pain points and how did you overcome them?
I think similar. I felt sometimes when I made the transition, like I looked back and thought to myself, like, did I make the right change or did I make the right decision? A lot of the time was because I thought about like my old coworkers, my old students. Like I kind of missed that. It's a different type of atmosphere being on your own versus being in a place that you know where you're going. 7 to 4 p.m. or whatever the time is. So I think the structure was probably one of my biggest pain points. I think like my time management was off because I have like all of this time now that I didn't know what to do with. So it kind of took some time for me to start figuring out what was my priority right now, especially as like me starting off. And as time goes on, you start realizing what really is important, what you should really do in the mornings, afternoons, how you should plan out your day. So I think that was probably one of my biggest pain points. Kind of deciding like, did I make the right choice? Mainly because of the whole time management aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a huge thing. Going from a different industry where you have a lot of structure, where they're telling you what time to clock in, what time to clock out, what time to take a lunch, what to do while you're there, to being, an independent contractor where what you do solely relies on you. And, with all of the things that are out there, what you choose to engage in to help you on your path and grow and kind of figuring out those, systems and structures. So it's good that you were able to do that. Thea, what about you? Pain points in your transition and how you overcame it?
So, as a lot of you know, when I just got in, I was still working at my other job. So it was hard. It was really just the fear of not succeeding, not having a steady paycheck. And so that was definitely a pain point of mine. But, I kind of put in different systems in place to be able to, for when I was able to transition, that I knew that I would be okay. So even now, when, every time I get a commission check or make a sale, I make sure that I'm thinking 3 to 4 months ahead. So just like as Dodie said, either put it in my savings or, I might pay my rent up for 2 months or my car note for 6 months, little things like that. So I know that I'm always ahead. So it's really helped me out for sure to where, I, could go full time and not have to stress so much.
So that leads me into the next question, and I'm going to get back to Vanessa on that third question. But what was the pivotal moment in your career whenever you were balancing being a bartender and a real estate agent? what kind of forced you to make that switch to go all in and just be full-time real estate, and not have to rely on that?
Started with me getting really busy, planting those seeds and starting to see them pay off. Because it was days where I could kind of set my schedule to what days I'm going to show because I know I have to work these days. But then I actually had the luxury of getting busy to where, I had people who wanted to see every single day. So that was the time where I knew, hey, it was time to, transition to real estate full time. And I was building up, enough rapport with new clients. And so that really kind of broke me out. So really just getting busy, getting to that point, getting comfortable with knowing that, hey, if I keep putting these systems in place, I'm going to get it done.
Right, so that's what I kind of want to touch on a little bit, where you say keep putting those systems in place, and you say that I had the luxury of being business. But it's not just, like a hope and a wish. There were things that you did that caused you to become busy. So can you speak to everybody a little bit about, like, what did that look like? What things do you think brought you the most success in getting to that point where you were busy enough to have the confidence to say, you know what, like, this is it, and, going from there?
At that time, I was, and I still am, but even more at the beginning, everything was real estate. How I dressed was real estate. I had my shirts, I had my hats when I went to the gym. So I just made everything around my life about real estate. And I think, when I started doing that, it started putting in people's heads, hey, this guy does real estate, this guy does real estate. So even at work, I was bartending and I saw a guest that I thought was, super awesome and we had great rapport. I was giving out my business cards. I was making every single thing about, this is my future, this is where I'm headed. So that was something that was just really important. So I would suggest that to anybody. Sometimes, you're on social media and you think you're posting too much or you're kind of being annoying, but that's what, I always treat, everybody as you just need that one client. That one client can bring you 10 clients as long as you just continue to stay in front. So, one client a month is great because that one client, like I said, that pipeline might be huge. So that's just kind of how I treat it.
Nice. And so with Vanessa, similar to you guys, she was afraid of not having a steady paycheck, but again, having a partner and being a double income. James pushed her and supported her and let her know that, hey, you really need to do this. You're going to be good at it, and that he would have her back while she put those systems in place. And for her, he said she was a teacher, right? Like you, Abigail, but she held on to teaching for a while before she transitioned into being a full-time real estate agent. And she realized that she could not juggle two jobs and she could not do both jobs properly. So what she chose to do is what, her and her husband thought was best for their family, because she'd already put a lot of, money and effort and time into real estate. So they made the hard decision to say, you know what, we're going to go all in. We're going to 100% focus on real estate, which is one of the conversations that I have with agents, right? Whenever you are in two different places, is can you really put yourself 100% out there in two different places and do it at 100%? And if you're at another job, some people can do it because of flexibility in their other job, and some people need to kind of just realize, okay, am I missing phone calls because I can't get to the phone because of the responsibilities that you have at that other job? Are you missing showing opportunities because you are having to stay in a single location and not able to schedule your showings around your buyer's schedule? Are you counting, like how many opportunities you're actually missing, so you can put a dollar amount to say, okay, well, if these missed opportunities have actually come to fruition, what does that amount look like, right? And what is my goal in real estate, and how much money do I need to make so it can make sense? My next question for you guys is, did you ever think about going back? And you had kind of touched on it, before. Did you ever think about, like, hey, I'm all in, I'm doing this real estate thing, the market's tough, it's getting hard, I don't know where my next paycheck is coming from, why did I do this? And did you ever think about going back? And, yeah. Cody?
My answer is no. I do have people in the industry that I came from that ask me, hey, we need a Dodie to come back and do the job that you did. And I always, joke with them, is it work from home? Because I'm not going back to the office and giving up what I have, done for the last year and a half, because my business is succeeding, like you had said. If you don't, if you're trying to do two things at one time, you do miss those opportunities. So my answer is not going back.
Right. Well, that is great to hear, but I do feel like there are a lot of people that are just like, oh my God, like what did I do? Abby, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, sometimes even to this day, you get sometimes those feelings like, did I make the right choice? But that's because I feel like I do miss some aspects of the teaching career. But to the point where I'm like, I'm gonna drop real estate and go back. No, I really love real estate, and I feel like I've put myself in a position where I love it because, some people can love it but are not successful, so they have no other choice. But, it's what are the steps that you are doing to make sure you don't get to that point, right? So I think at the end of the day, I do have like those flashbacks of like fun times, but only the fun stuff is what I miss, right? I don't miss anything else about it.
Theo, what about you?
No, as I said, I'm trying to transition to where everything's real estate. So whether it's, selling homes or doing something else, I mean, it's, this has become a part of my life. So I don't think I can go back, mostly because of time. Now, there is times where, you're not super busy and you wish you had something else to do. But it's also great to enjoy those times because sometimes, you're super busy and you can't do anything else. So I just can't see myself going back.
Okay, for Vanessa, she says that, let's see, that sometimes she does think that she would like a steady paycheck, but that whenever she thinks about all of the efforts and the things that she's put into it and nurturing the relationships that she already has with her clients, and that they're sending her friends and her family, it turns her thinking around, and she just keeps pushing herself through her career. So, in talking to people, I do hear where they're like, these are the things that I miss. Do I ever think about it? Yes, but would I ever do it? No, because they think about, the good times. They think about the positive. They think about like, oh, it would be great to have, a steady income. But all of you are saying that now that you have seen the full, potential of being a full-time real estate agent, you're like, it's not worth it to go back, to keep pressing forward, which leads me into my next question. Whenever you get into that mindset of, hard times, tough times, economically or financially in your life, and those thoughts start, creeping in, what do you do to change your mindset and change your thought process around to keep you in that positive, mind frame? Abby?
So I have several things that I do. Some of I guess the basic stuff that I do listen to podcasts that kind of just cheer me up in a way / put me into place. Like, stop thinking like that, like get your stuff together, right? So I do listen to a lot of podcasts, and I think I also look back at what I have already accomplished. I think a lot of times if you're having slow times, or you're not as successful, thinking about what you've done in the past shows you hey, you can get there again. It's just what are you going to do to get there? And I think one of the biggest things I do as well is I look up to the people who are doing it big. I think one of the biggest things is having mentors that you can look up to and see they're there. I want to be there. What are they doing to be there? And in a way that's you want to follow their footsteps in a way, right? Because the potential's there, and you just need to, do your own thing. But at the same time, I just basically look back at what are the possibilities, and those negative thoughts kind of just go away, because I know that I'm gonna get there. I just need to work hard for it.
Yeah, and I think that it's important that we have those checks and balances because so many people, are just going, and they're only comparing themselves to maybe last week or last month or how they're feeling in, the future and how it's going to be without going back and saying, you know what, this is where I started. This is what I have today. Like, let me be thankful for like all of those, hard steps that I've taken to get to where I am and realize that I've actually done a good job. And, for those of you who don't know the national averages of, how much a real estate agent makes, how much, the average agent makes, you really should, know those numbers because I have agents that are, crushing it, but because they're maybe surrounded by producers that, do it at a higher level, that they're comparing themselves to them instead of the national average and instead of comparing themselves to their ability and, what they know that they can do, which can put you in a negative, mindset. But, most of my agents, whenever you're comparing them to the national average, are doing far better than, whenever we're talking about averages. But it all starts with knowing your numbers and knowing where you came from. So Theo, whenever you find yourself, maybe feeling some burnout or getting in that negative mind space, thinking like, oh, what do you do to get yourself out of that?
Well, first off, you have to understand the industry. That's the biggest thing. Understanding real estate, understanding that there are highs and lows. So I think that's a big thing. Understanding my why I got in the industry, and that's very, very important. And so some days, I look back on that and I realize that, this is the place that I want to be. And I take advantage of the times that aren't as busy by doing research, like Abigail said, maybe watching podcasts or watching videos and just doing research. So I know when I am starting getting busy again, then I know that, I'm caught up on the market, knowing what's happening, knowing what's working for other people, so I can implement those as well.
Yeah, the mind is an amazing and powerful thing. And I've said it, several times to you guys. You can think yourself happy. You can think yourself sad. You can think yourself healthy. You can think yourself, sick. Like the mind is just a powerful thing. And it's important in what we're consuming. So the podcasts and the, self-help and motivational, inspirational books and the things that you're watching. If you're watching the news and the news is negative and it's bringing you down, turn it off, right? Like clickbait is all over the place. And all it's doing is, putting out, skewed numbers that are only comparing things to last year. And, so you really have to get out of that. Hey, Vanessa.
Hi guys, I'm sorry, I was going through security.
No, it's okay. We've gone through a couple of questions and I've answered your questions for you. Right now, while we have you, we're on the part of whenever you start, feeling a little bit of the burnout and getting into a negative mindset and thinking, maybe you should go back into your other career or get another job. What are you doing to stay positive? You want to answer that one real quick?
Well, what I really do, I have a really good partner that cheers me up all the time. So that's good. And I just keep my mindset positive and just try to keep doing my work and not deviate to the bad stuff, or to the bad feelings or to the anything like will take me off for what I'm doing for my work. Just keep pushing myself, keep working in what I do. I know it's hard sometimes, but I just keep working on my sphere of influence and my clients, and it's been working.
So you have a good support system. Touching back really quick on what you said, Theo, which I think is extremely important for all real estate agents, whether you're new, whether you're seasoned, whether you're going through burnout, whether you are, hitting moments of success, is remembering your why. Because it's easy to forget whenever you're just busy on the go. But everybody, whenever they first, start real estate, they should establish their why. Why are you doing this? So whenever times do get tough and times do get hard, it's, better for you to think about, okay, well, why am I doing this anyway, to keep you going and keep that fire going. And I think, as real estate agents, this is also something that we need to, have the conversations with our sellers, have the conversations with our buyers up front to find out what their why is. That way, whenever they're starting to feel stresses, we're able to, align them back with their why so they can push through it, with you guys. Dodie, what about you?
For me, I believe I'm pretty positive most of the time. I like to give back to other agents. I have agents that aren't here at Remax that I sit with, and we just brainstorm, what's working for me, what's working for them, and just having that feedback person to person. Or I'll meet with agents here in the office, or even go to their houses, maybe just try to better my business skills. Like, what are you as a top agent doing that I maybe need to know your trick, or better organization, and just meeting with agents even here with Remax.
Right. So we have, whenever you're in a negative mind space and trying to get yourself out of it, positive podcasts, great books to read, remembering your why, having support systems, engaging in, relationships with other people to mastermind and keep your game sharp so you can, focus on the positives. So the next question that we have is, what are you doing now to be successful in your business? Abby, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, well, I try different things. So to remain successful, I have to remain being the face of real estate for the people that are in my inner circle, so to speak. So I continue trying to post as much as content as I can to the people around me, whether that be on social media, whether that be phone calls, text messages, just making sure like people continue to remember, like, oh yeah, Abby does real estate. So that way I can continue getting the business, getting the people to know that this is what I do. So I think that would be like the number one thing that makes me continue to be successful. And I think just continuing to learn, like knowledge is power, and getting all the material, because real estate changes almost daily sometimes. So you have to make sure you keep up to date with everything that's changing. So that includes like going to trainings, things like that. And that helps you be the go-to person so that you are knowledgeable when it comes to dealing with clients.
There's one thing that I'm going to say about Abigail. Whenever she was her first year in real estate, she was the rookie of the year, and I was super impressed with how she just came out swinging. Sometimes agents start off as shy and not knowing what to do, and just without even like being told or anything. She started doing open houses, and not just doing open houses. She started doing video, and live video at that. And, really just making a niche for herself on social media and getting out there and putting yourself out there. So whenever you did that in the beginning, were you nervous? And how did you get over your nerves to just put yourself out there?
I think I want to say I was nervous, but I really wasn't. And I think I just wanted to just give it all, because what's the worst thing that can happen? Like, I just feel like I have to just do it and see what comes from it. So I think, a little bit of nerves came when people started shouting me out about it. I was like, okay, people are watching, so I need to make sure I'm saying the right stuff. But I love it, and I think that is really one of the biggest reasons why I got into it as well, just because the characteristics that I have, I thought that they just match well.
Nice. Vanessa, are you still with me? Can you tell us what you're doing today to remain successful in your business?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I work on all my past clients all the time, like the beginning stuff, and I keep in front of everybody that we know, me and James, all our sphere of influence, and we just tag James's sphere of influence with the teachers all the time, so we can be in front of them. And when they think about somebody, or my past clients have either friends or family thinking about like, I told them, if you guys hear somebody wants to sell or buy, please just send it to me. I will treat them right, and I just keep in front of people, and I communicate all the time with my past clients, and we work a lot. James is really influenced with the teacher.
Nice. Theo, what about you?
I just try to increase my knowledge. I think that's the biggest thing. Since I've been in real estate, I've seen several different markets just over the last couple of years. So, as Abigail was saying, it's constantly changing, and so I just try to increase my knowledge. Again, read books or whether it's watch, different videos to try to see, get ahead of the market, know what's going on. So that's probably the biggest thing I'm doing right now, and it's working really well.
Okay, good. Jody.
To touch on what all three of them said, it's training. I come to all the training that's offered here. Even if I've done the class once, I'll come again because usually other people show up and they can put their own personal perspective of something that's happened to them or, what to do and not to do, just knowledge from our agents. Also do the Buffini, write the letters, make the phone calls, text my old clients, pop by, want to go see them coming up, especially here at Christmas, see how they've decorated, what they've done differently to the house. Floor time, we get phone calls here in the office, and so I use a lot of the floor time when the phone rings, answering questions, and then using that time as like my work time. I update my contracts and get a hold of my clients, talk to the finance offices, just following up with my transactions.
So one of the things that I wanna touch on that you kind of said there is, you're showing up and you're treating your business like a business, right?
Yeah.
And I think that some agents, not you guys, but some agents fall into the trap being an independent contractor without that structured schedule of, thinking, well, it's just free time, right? And then not knowing what to do in that free time. So they end up, being reactive to their surroundings versus intentional with what they need to be doing in their business with the dollar productive activities that they can be doing. Like if you're at home, you have, not that it's a bad thing, but the distractions of, oh my gosh, the laundry needs to be done, the dishes need to be done. I've got, a baby on my side that, is tugging at me and needs something, or, a partner at home and, actually showing up to an office or a quiet space and, having a schedule of things that you need to be done or that need to be done is good. Treating your business like a business. And touching back on what you guys said earlier is being, financially proactive as well, knowing that it is expensive to be in real estate. And some people don't realize that, and some people don't plan for that and realize it, after the fact. So they're starting to feel, getting into that negative mindset without being, prepared financially for it. So I think that that's, really great. And Julie is online with us. So shout out to Julie, our Buffini mentor here, because I'm not sure if you heard, I'm sure you did, but they all mentioned doing Buffini.
Yes. Hi, guys.
Hi.
My video's got on. I'm about to go to the doctor.
Yeah, that's okay. Just wanted to give a quick shout out for you and thank you, because I definitely think that, that matters. Having a system, having the methodologies behind what works and why it works, having, not only just a sphere of influence, because that's such a generic term, but knowing who those people are, what to say to them, how to say it, when to say, what to do it's just a whole thing. It's not just, oh, well, I give my clients, gifts and that's Buffini. It doesn't really work like that. It's a whole thing of methodologies behind it that each one of these agents do. So my next question is there anything at your brokerage that you take advantage of that helps you? Abigail?
Yeah, so for sure, I know we already mentioned it, the trainings. You guys do offer different types of trainings, and I really love the fact that you guys tailor it to what we are asking for. So I know like there was a specific class that I asked for, and then you automatically implemented it, and that really helped me with my huge transactions that I did have. I think another big thing that we have here is our Remax Mastermind group. That's basically on Facebook. We have our own page where essentially all the agents are there, and we get to ask questions as they come. Even though I might not be the one posting, I see other people's posts and I'm reading so I can learn from their experiences. So I think that really is helpful because it's been things that I have never dealt with in the past, but now reading from it, like if I ever deal with it, then I know what to do. But within that mastermind group, we have another little mastermind group that Theo and I are actually a part of. It was actually a group of us agents that came together whenever we first started, and it's awesome. Like it's just 5 of us, right? We call ourselves Fab Five, but you know we just always bounce ideas, any questions we have. We still have that group chat going. Sometimes it's just to see how we're doing. I love that group chat just because it really does help out.
Nice. Yeah, what about you?
So just the people who work here, that alone is enough, to some good utilization, and I love the fact that I can always call or ask anybody questions, especially some of our agents who've been agents for a while. They've just been so helpful, and I think that's important too, is choosing the right brokerage, the right broker. I always text Kim, all the time, and I'm like, hey, you got a second? And she never texts back; she just calls right away. And I love that about you, always being available because, I think that's something that's good too, that I use at the office the most is the ability to, ask questions and use other agents and see what's going on.
Yeah, we have a very wide range of agents. We have, some newer agents. We have highly seasoned agents. We have young agents. We have, older agents. We have a wide variety of, a lot of people that, we can, kind of mastermind and bounce ideas off of. So that's great. Dodie, what about you?
I would say number one is accountability. We have one-on-one meetings with our broker Kimberly, where she can ask us our goals and where we're at, what we're doing, if we're not there, maybe how we could tweak our business. But we do them quarterly, and so if you think you're falling off the wagon and not meeting your personal goals, then you're reminded in your meeting of how we get there, maybe something else to do. Also the training, like I said earlier, I come to every training, even if it's a repeat, because they're always updating the forms, the requirements from track, and it keeps it all fresh in your mind. Like Abigail said, training is power, knowledge is power.
Vanessa, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
What about you?
Well, the one-on-one meetings really changed my life since I joined the brokerage because I didn't have direction before. I didn't have somebody guiding me. I was like, didn't know where to go, what to do, or anything. And since we joined the brokerage and we start doing that, now we have the goals set up for short-term goals and long-term goals, and we just put it in front of us and try to tackle them and work on them. And it's like it gives us a lot of direction, and it's like, and not only that, all the agents in the office, they're all super helpful. Since I joined you, and I have a mentor there, he was guiding me, setting up everything. And it's like I can call 24/7. Not only my mentor that I have at that point, but everybody in the office, like anyone in the office, older agents that they're being in there for a long time, they're always willing to help you to respond. More for me is like, of course, if somebody speaks Spanish, I ask them because sometimes I don't understand and I need that on myself. So I rely on the agents that they're in the office that they speak Spanish so they can talk to me in my language. Sometimes that I need more explanation that maybe someone else.
Nice. Well, we not only have this on our Zoom, and we have some agents here with us today. We opened it up, live on Facebook, streaming between 3 different, pages, 2 on Facebook and on YouTube. So my message to you guys that are, outside of this brokerage is, I think that, a few of them had touched on how important accountability is in making sure that within your brokerage that you have that, whether it's your broker or a partner or some kind of, accountability where you're able to, establish your why, what you want, what are your goals, why are you doing it? And, regularly checking yourself on, okay, I said I was going to do this. Did I do it? And if I didn't do it, why? What can I do to help me achieve my goals? What's working and what's not working? Because a lot of times people just get stuck in a rut doing the same things without, going back and saying, okay, well, I'm spending this money, is it actually working? And if it's not working, why am I spending this money? Or if it is working, knowing where it's sourced from so you can go back and do more of that. Which leads me into my next questions. Do you regularly set goals, and how often do you assess them? So I'm going to start back with you, Vanessa.
Well, I think for us, for me and James, when we sit down with you, we really look back on what we talked before and what we want to achieve. But also, me and him, we talk as a team and see what are we doing, what do we need to do best, like what do we need to fix, what is working for us, what is not working. And in that, when we see what is working, then we set our goals. Okay, this is working, we're going to do this. And pretty much for me and James, is when we set goals is with you, and we try to, like I said, tackle them and put it in front of us so we can see if we're really working on them or not. Because
So
sometimes
whenever
we
you
forget
guys-
and we leave them in there.
Whenever you guys are meeting together as a team, how often are you guys reassessing, if you're on track with your
Like
goals?
every month, we try to see, okay, what do we did? What do we need to do? With like we didn't do this or that, or like for me, like for example, one thing that I was like wanted to become better is like taking more classes about technology, being better at technology, because James is better in technology and I'm better. So we complement each other, but I also need to tackle some things that we need to know. So like, for example, we wanted to get our designations, and that was one of our goals, and we did part of them already, but we have more goals to do, more designations to do, and we just try to do it every month. We try to talk about what we did and what is left to be done.
Nice. Dodie, what about you?
I look back at it monthly just to see where my numbers are, like my throughput, clients, where I want to be. Like I said earlier, we have our one-on-one. Last year, I set my goal really high for myself, and knowing in January that it was going to be a high number. And so I just look at it and every month reassess where I'm at and what can I do differently to get me to that end number. And I'm close.
Nice. So you're also monthly. Theo, what about you?
Yeah, probably monthly as well. Maybe not just numbers wise, but just small goals to make sure that I'm being very consistent. But also, again, our one-on-ones, similar to everybody else, I set really high goals, and so sometimes it kind of forces me to do a little bit more because I want to achieve it for sure. So that usually helps.
Abby?
Well, I'm the complete opposite. I think whenever I set my goals, it's when it's quarterly with you, and I need to do a better job at assessing them. I feel like if I start doing that, I'm going to start seeing better results. But I would say one of my goals is to be better at reassessing my goals for sure.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. Having goals is, it's important because it's what makes, our systems measurable, right? Is it working? How do you know if it's working if you're not meeting a certain, goal that you have, whether it's how much money you're making, or a trip that you want to take, or a car that you want to buy, or a house that you want to buy, or how many people you want to help. I mean, our goals here, like they range like all over the place with, personal and, and business as well. And, again, going back to what you said, Theo, I think that, knowing your why is what really like pushes you guys to, have the goals that align with your why, and to be able to reassess them to make sure, like, hey, am I moving towards, my ultimate why and my goal, or is what I'm doing moving me, further back? So you can kind of reassess and go from there. So we are about done here. I have one more question, and then we will take some questions from you guys if you guys have any. And the last one is, if you had one piece of advice to give to an agent who maybe, where you were, maybe they're thinking that, they have another job and they want to transition over to real estate, one piece of advice for them, or maybe they're thinking about making, a leap, or they're having hard times in their career. If there's one piece of advice you could give them, what would it be? Theo, I'm going to start with you.
Weather the storm, and stay the course. Always believe in yourself is pretty much one of the biggest things. It can be hard, it can be challenging, but again, as long as you put those right systems in place and continue to be consistent, because that's very important as well, and run your own race. I had trouble at the beginning, just paying attention to what other people were doing and seeing other people be very successful, and it was hard. Especially seeing that, hey, I'm doing these exact same things, why aren't I getting the same results? And, if I continue to do those things, you will get those results. You just have to remember, some people just, they've been in the industry longer. So just, again, weather the storm, and run your own race is probably definitely my biggest advice.
I absolutely love that, because I feel like there are several agents that fall in that same trap where they're comparing themselves to other agents, whether they are the same tenure in real estate or not, but saying like, hey, I'm doing these same things. They're not finding success. I'm not. Maybe this isn't for me, or what am I doing wrong? And really having that mental heckler in the background saying like, oh, it's you. There's something different, and being able to overcome that. So I really like that you said that. Jody, what about you? What's your one piece of advice for them?
I think understanding it's not just a $300 real estate class, and you can get your license and you're going to make all this money. I think it's meeting with agents, meeting with different brokerages to see what they provide as far as classes and mentorship. It's not about just dues and fees and collecting your commission on the end. It's about the whole package. We need to reach out to other agents and have a better understanding.
Right, real estate is not easy, is it?
It's not.
All right, Abby, what's your one piece of advice?
I would say try something new. A lot of times you are feeling negative, or maybe you're not feeling that successful, and you're thinking like, maybe I should start doing that, but you never do it. I think trying something new, if you're continuously doing the same thing and you're not getting anywhere, what makes you think that that's going to lead you all of a sudden to where you want to be? So I think whether it be starting to post videos online, because that's the thing to do right now, or if it's just starting to branch out to other people that are like, that could be your mentor. There's a lot of people who love to help people, believe it or not. So I think you reaching out to maybe that one person that you look up to and asking them a question. I just think trying something new is not going to hurt you. It can only benefit you, whether it be a lesson learned or just branching out and your business just blossoms.
Okay, Vanessa?
Well, just be you, be yourself. Like Abby said, try different things for sure. Because like everything in this world is been changing so much. You need to be different. You need to be authentic. And if it doesn't work, like Abby said, just try something new. And I know it's hard because I tried, and it's hard to put yourself in front of the camera, doing TikTok, doing Instagram and all that kind of stuff. But I see another agent doing it, and I know it's hard because you're your worst, the person that judges yourself the worst. I know that for sure. But just keep yourself. If you're new, just tell everybody that you know, your family, your friends, everybody. I'm pretty sure, like the new agents that they're gonna start out there, they're gonna have some kind of fear of influence, and they have to tackle that and be in front of them and tell them, and just be authentic and be yourself and be truthful and educate yourself and be prepared, because everything just changed so much and you need to study and be ready, because there's a lot of people out there that they don't know, and you're the best guidance that they're going to have with these transactions. So just trust yourself.
Nice. Be authentic. Trust yourself. Put yourself out
I
there.
have to go, guys. I'm so
Okay.
sorry. because
Safe
there's-
flight. Have a safe flight. Glad you could join us.
Thank you.
Right? So be authentic. Put yourself out there. Try something new. Weather the storm. Run your own race. Do your research. Real estate is not easy, but it is worth it. Right? So do you guys have any questions for our lovely Trina here? Do we have any questions?
I do. I know that some of them you were saying to get updated as far as knowledge, guidelines, technology and whatnot, but where do you go to get it?
Well, we offer lots of classes here in the office, every Tuesday, Thursday. So like I said earlier, I come in even if it's a class that's repeat, because maybe there's one piece of information I missed from the last class, because it was taught, but maybe I didn't hear, about it. But if we went over it again and then it sticks that time. It's kind of like listening to a professor. If you hear them speak it, you usually retain it. And so that's why I like to come into the office. Also, lots of title companies offer additional training.
Yeah, a lot of title companies offer it, and also like lenders, they have different events that they host. And whenever they host events, they usually have a class associated with it, so that way you can basically get the up-to-date stuff.
And for me, I mean, all what they said, but also other realtors, I'm on all social media platforms. So I see like a reel comes from a realtor that I find interesting, I follow them. Some of those people are really successful wherever they're at too. So I get on their YouTube channels and I just watch videos, and you'll get a lot of knowledge from people even outside of this office. So just soaking up as much as possible. So I do that a lot. I mean, literally follow as many realtors as I can find, and and you can also take a piece of what they're doing, or that's everybody's doing it. Everybody kind of recycles material and kind of use it as their own. So that's something that I like to do as well. So if I see a post and I find it interesting, I'll kind of tweak it and make it my own. So that's something that I do as well.
So, HAR, not just, our HAR, our portal, but online social media, they're always, posting, stats and facts. TexasRealEstate.com, like for Trek, they offer all kinds of like articles and things like that as well. But then there's also the Clubhouse app, if you guys are familiar with that, where they have all kinds of different chat rooms with real estate agents from, all around the nation. And they all have like their own little thing that they're talking about. Like it might be, coffee and contracts, and first thing in the morning, where they're just talking about a quick introduction. What are you doing in your business today? What are you doing that's different? How are you setting yourself aside? But there's all kinds of different rooms in there with, just agents all over the nation and of all different skill levels, but highly productive agents that are willing to share as well. But that's the Clubhouse app. Let's see. So hi, Matthew. Said, glad you were doing this. Agents need encouragement and giving them the tools to help weather the storm. Awesome. Also, Tony said, I want to be a part of your group. That wasn't Tony. It was Jesus. Yeah.
He is a part.
Hey,
You are a
Jesus.
part.
So you are a part of the group.
Sometimes you don't post though.
Right, anybody else have any more questions for him?
I just have a question. As tenured agents, you guys and new agents coming in, what are some things that y'all struggle with at the beginning that y'all were able to do to overcome those, or things that y'all learned that y'all can recommend to us?
Well, go ahead.
Struggled with, at the beginning, probably just, you know, you get a lot of tools at the beginning, but sometimes you just don't understand how to use them. And so that's something that I definitely struggle with. Of course, a lot of the forums and docs, but it's really just, you know, finding your niche, getting familiar with all those. And again, maybe learning how to tell people you do real estate without, you know, just forcing it down their throat. Of course, because you wanna be personable as well. So that was something that, you know, I struggled with. You know, just, hey, by the way, I do real estate, like, you know, but after you actually have a genuine conversation with people. So that's something that's really good as well. And Buffini kind of teaches that. Of course, the personal notes, you know, writing to people, asking how they're doing, and then, you know, he even has like those little stickers, by the way, you never do this before, bro. And that's probably like one of the things I love the most about the Buffini program. So.
Yeah, I actually agree. I know I'm not new, but you know, I was new once too. And even as an agent who had been an agent for, you know, 5 years and finding my own success, but not really having a system, just kind of like trial and error. One of the things that I would never do is I would not ask for a referral because I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to say like, or even talk about, you know, myself without it feeling like, kind of used car salesman. So I just didn't. And that's one of the things that, you know, Julie, whenever we did the Buffini class, you know, being taught how to have that conversation, how to internalize the dialogue, how to listen for key moments, you know, whenever somebody's talking to you and saying, oh, I'm so glad that you know, that you had a great experience or that you're excited. You know, if you know anybody else looking to, you know, buy or sell, I'd love to give them that same great experience as well. Or however you internalize it yourself, of being taught that dialogue, I think is monumental because I grew up in real estate listening to some other people tell you how, and none of it just really resonated with me. It just still felt like, like, you know, like you're shoving it down their throat and nobody wants to, you know, do that. But
I think what I did a lot to kind of start up as a newer agent was getting all the like knowledge and education so I can share to the world. You know, a lot of people don't know if it's their first time or they just they don't have that go-to person who they can ask. And now that they see a friendly face that's giving them the education that they need, I think that also allowed me to, or a lot of people gravitated towards me at the beginning because of that, because I was that go-to person to be able to answer the question. And even if there was a question I didn't know because I was new, I have plenty of resources to help me get that answer to them. And I think being that educational piece to it has really helped at the beginning of my career.
I think with Abby, one of the things that she was able to do, you know, so well in the beginning, like I said from the beginning, she just jumped on and started doing videos and putting herself out there. Is, you know, putting out there the educational piece. So her sphere that's, you know, like engaging with her online are being able to say, hey, she is my go-to for real estate whenever I have questions because she's putting out like all of that, you know, knowledge, you know, making sure she looks like the industry, you know, expert in her field.
For me, it was coming into the office. I came in, I took as much floor time as I could, and then just talking to the agents in the office. What are they doing? What have they done? We also had the classes in here, like the Google My Business. I was like, Google what? What do I need to do? And so just coming in and figuring out how to use our Remax page, setting up my Google My Business, knowing that I needed to do my Facebook page. And I knew I needed to do it, and that was one of the first things I did, but all the other things that I needed to do also, like you said, it's kind of information overload on day one. You don't know where to start and where to go, so just for me, it was coming in and talking.
You know, one of the things that we have coming up is we have that Remax Tools refresher, course, because there's just, there is so many different, apps and shiny objects and technology. And to say that you're going to do all of them is a little overwhelming. And so if you try to do all of them, you kind of get stuck not knowing, okay, well, maybe you don't finish all of them or what's working and what's not working. So really figuring out what's going to align with, you the best and how you're going to use it, and really focusing on dominating one and then adding another, knowing what all there is out there that, that is offered and how it can help, but really focusing on one at a time until you have it down, and then adding another piece, to it. And then you might find out that, okay, well, this works, this works good, this doesn't work as good as I thought it did, but coming back and reassessing what's working and what's not working. So it's not like, even if you have 100 things that you could be doing, that you're really doing 100 different things. You have a question? Is there any more questions? Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, we are going to wrap up here. Thank you guys for everybody who joined us via Zoom, who joined us live on Facebook, who joined us live in person in the office. We hope that y'all have a fantastic day. And more importantly, we hope that y'all learned something today, or that you got some kind of motivation or inspiration. And if you have any questions that you didn't want to, ask, online, feel free to reach out to us. We are here for you. We want to see everybody be successful, no matter what the market is doing. So take care and have a wonderful rest of your week, you guys. Bye.
Jesus.